Cars are horrendous data collection machines. They listen to you, film you, ingest the contacts and photos from your phone, sometimes even make essentially full copies of your phone, and they share this information about you with countless third parties. There are even car companies that say in their privacy policy they collect information about your sexual activity. Cars are no longer dumb machines that we use to travel from A to B. A giant shift happened over the past 20 years, where our cars became smart devices with hundreds of computers bolted on top that all collect and analyze data about your activities. Not only are these computers networked together and share information with each other, but this local network is also connected to the internet, and a trove of your data is being sent off to all kinds of remote servers responsible for administering these hundreds of computers. Given that so much information is stored in our car, what happens when we sell it? Do we just hand this sensitive information off to the next owner? In our first video in this car privacy series, we looked at how egregious car data collection and sharing has become, and how people haven't yet realized that this transformation has happened. In this video, we want to provide you with some useful tools. First, given that our cars are intimately connected to our lives and contain very personal information about our daily habits and preferences, how do we erase that data when we sell our car? And second, what about buying a used car? Given all the remote capabilities of cars these days, how do we make sure that the previous owner can't still access our car remotely and spy on our activities? And how do we find out whether the previous owner of a car has signed it up for different monitoring services? Are we now being monitored by those services without realizing? This video will explore these complex issues of the modern car surveillance world, and will give you some practical tools that will hopefully help you when dealing with used vehicles. Now let's reintroduce our experts of the story. We have Andrea Amico, founder of the website Privacy for Cars; Woody, a renowned digital tracking expert and former instructor for a vehicle forensic company; and Sam, a famous car hacker who does awesome research into their vulnerabilities. Let's start with selling your car.
When you sell a vehicle, or if you lease a vehicle, there's a lot of data that can go with that vehicle. You're giving away personal information. You're giving away where you go to, where your vacation spots are, where your family goes. Where do you go every Thursday when you need to go decompress, and you have a special place that you go write in your journal, or you go to a therapist, or you do something? Those patterns of life are all stored on that vehicle that you sell.
I bought a used Tesla from a dealership, and when I got in the car, I realized the previous owner just completely forgotten to remove himself from the vehicle. I clicked plug in a location, and I noticed that he had a saved home address. And then I noticed too that the car also had a way to open the garage.
Someone could easily
Drive to that guy's house, open his garage, and then go inside his house.
Now this is just the information that can be easily accessed directly by the user through the infotainment system. If we peer under the metaphorical hood, there's even more going on. There are things like telematics units that send off all kinds of data transmissions like real-time location tracking, vehicle diagnostics, and driving behavior to the manufacturer and to third parties. There's the event data recorder, which is kind of like the black box of an airplane. It captures critical data surrounding any incidents with the car, like speed, throttle position, brake use, and airbag deployment details, providing a really detailed snapshot of a driver's actions. The bulk of the data inside your car's network of computers isn't accessible to the consumer. You need specialized equipment to see it. One of the doorways to this data, usually found under the dashboard, is the OBD port, which stands for Onboard Diagnostics. It allows access to this internal network of the car, where data from various electronic control units can be analyzed.
I used to run an inspection company, and I was doing an audit, and I just turned on a car and decided to poke around and see what I could see, right? And within a few minutes, I know that it's a woman that owned the car. She's an engineer. I knew where she lived. I had access to garage door codes of her garage. I knew where her kids went to school, 2 twin girls. I know that they were into hockey and ballet and where they went on play dates. I knew that she was a breast cancer survivor because she was going to a cancer center that specializes in breast cancer. And I had a great list of restaurants in Detroit, which, it's kind of a nice byproduct. And this was maybe 9 years ago. And nowadays it's way worse because, again, technology has evolved. We connect more and more our phones. There's more and more sensors. And so it's literally becoming a bigger problem.
When you sell your car, it's important to understand that all this data goes with it.
More than 4 out of 5 cars are resold by dealerships with the data of the previous consumers.
Do you think people realize how much data they're giving away when they sell a vehicle?
No, absolutely not.
They're thinking about selling their car. They're not really thinking about like anything else besides that.
It's not just when we're selling a car that we need to think about this. What data are we leaving behind in cars that we've just rented for the day?
If you go get a rental car and you try to connect your phone with Bluetooth, you see 200 other devices.
Hardly anyone thinks about forgetting their device or removing their data before handing back the keys. Sometimes this can lead to serious privacy concerns.
We've all been in the situation in which, you return your rental, you're running to get to the airplane, you arrive at the gate, and you're like, oh, dang, now I know my text messages are left behind. That's awesome. The next person can get to browse through them.
We need to shift our mindset and start thinking about our cars the same way we think about our computers and phones.
You'll delete the data from this before you give it away. That basic stuff is not done for cars. It's important that people don't leave their data behind because who knows who's going to get to it.
What information should I be wiping from my car before I sell it?
All of it.
But how is the question. Some data is easier to delete than others. Data that relates to vehicle performance or telemetry, for example, may be processed and stored in areas of the car that consumers can't easily access. On top of that, some apps will send off a bunch of data to be processed in the cloud. So you'll need to be mindful which apps you actually have enabled in your car in the first place. One area we do have more control over, where a lot of data is stored, is the infotainment system, or head unit. The head unit is usually located in the center of your dashboard, and in older cars, they mainly include just the audio controls for your stereo. Over time, as vehicle electronics have evolved, they incorporated things like GPS navigation, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connectivity, vehicle settings, and all kinds of apps. These systems also store a lot of data from your phone. They ingest things like our contact list, call logs, text messages, and can sometimes even download, essentially, a full copy of your phone, including photos and other data.
When you connect to those, a lot of people don't realize how much of you goes with it. And when you sell vehicles, if you're worried about your privacy, you need to understand that if that head unit goes with it, there's a good chance a lot of your data goes with it.
There are ways that you can delete the information in the head unit of cars. And one of the things that Andrea's company, Privacy for Cars, does is show people how.
Our database currently has literally tens of thousands of ways in which different cars work to get rid of this data. We make that tool available for free to consumers, and we'll tell them what to do for their car.
For example, on a 2015 Ford Ranger, they'll show you how to navigate to the Master Reset button. On a 2024 Toyota 4Runner, they'll show you how to get to the Delete Personal Data button. They even have cars listed that don't have data stored in the head unit, so that you can still have peace of mind when you sell your car.
We'll help you reduce your data footprint with cars.
If you want to go even further, Woody actually suggests replacing the entire head unit before selling your vehicle.
I bought a second head unit the day I bought my Raptor. I told them, hey, listen, I want a second head unit included in the price, and I want to buy it at cost. So I was able to buy it really cheap. It's an extra $500-$600 probably. If I ever sell that vehicle and put that head unit in, nothing I've ever done goes with it. If you wait till you're 7 years into owning a vehicle and then you buy one from a pick and pull, you can absolutely do that as well.
While car data is complicated, and some of this data sharing is currently largely out of the hands of consumers, you should be sure to do whatever is in your control. And making sure that no one gets access to the data in your head unit is a great privacy step when selling your car. Hopefully, as awareness grows about how invasive cars are, consumers will get more of a say about this data collection and storage. Now let's talk about when you're buying a used car.
As vehicles offer more and more features, some of these features are the ability of remotely accessing, unlocking, starting, and potentially even operating remotely your vehicle.
So, as the new owner of a vehicle, you want to make sure that this information isn't still accessible to the previous owner.
How do I guarantee that that information, it is cut off?
It's surprisingly common for people to be able to do things like track the location, access the cameras, or even remotely use the apps of cars that they no longer own.
Let's say you sell your car. There isn't a lot of times a process where you're notifying notifying anybody that you've sold the car. So now you have a used car at a dealership that has like this active monitoring, and then someone else will go buy that from the used dealer, and the used dealer has no idea that it's even in there. So the used dealer is going to sell you a car without you even seeing an agreement which says like, hey, this car is actually monitoring you. It's a very hard problem to solve. They basically have to create this like infrastructure where you can like change the owner of a vehicle.
But a centralized ownership system like that would be pretty vulnerable. Every car dealership would have to have access to the information and be able to change it. For person-to-person sales, you'd need some kind of self-service ability to change ownership records.
You could just lie and say that you bought the car, and then now you can track the vehicle's location. It gets really, really complicated, and there's like a lot of room for error.
One way to make sure that someone else doesn't still have access to your remote features is to set up your account or app and see which devices are still connected.
What we recommend is plant the flag. Download the app for your car. Whether you want to use it in the future, yes or no. Create an account, sync it with your car, and this way, through that process, you are essentially notifying the manufacturer you're the new owner.
And it should cut off the existing owner from the app, or at least show you any other devices that are connected, so that you can then disconnect them. Keep in mind that these car apps tend to be very invasive into your privacy and collect a ton of information about you. So if you don't plan to use the app, then you might not want to have it on the device that you carry around with you for daily use. You might instead choose to install it on an old device that you don't use. On top of that,
if you are deciding to like opt in and you are deciding to like use these apps, it's like really important to make sure your account's secure, use a secure password, set up 2FA, and like really lock down the app.
Because if your app isn't properly secured, then an attacker will easily be able to log in and get access to all of your information. One thing you may experience when you first try to connect your car to your app is that
the app doesn't let you through. And that's a clear telltale sign that somebody else is hooked up to that vehicle that you don't know about. And so, at that point, I think you should be calling your dealership and you should be calling the manufacturer.
Privacy for Cars automates that process for users, contacting dealerships and manufacturers for them. And they do it in a really privacy-preserving way.
We don't collect your name. So when we call the dealers, we say, look, we don't know who the consumer is, but they claim to be one of your customers. And this is what they're asking us to do. We try to really be super obsessive over collecting the very least amount and keeping the anonymity of clients.
So if you want help reaching out to manufacturers to really understand what kinds of data collection your used car has been signed up for, Privacy for Cars is one option. Let's do a quick recap. If you're selling your car, at least delete the data first from the head unit. There are handy guides that we mentioned that are free and show you how. You may even want to consider replacing the whole head unit. This is an extreme measure, but data collection in cars has gotten pretty extreme too, so it'll be up to you to decide which data protection methods work best for you. If you're buying a used car, plant your flag and disconnect any existing devices that have been synced to the vehicle. You can also use automated services that will contact your dealership and manufacturer on your behalf, so that you can understand if your used car is signed up for any monitoring services and have them removed. Now, this doesn't solve the problem of car data collection, but it's a great start. In our next video in this car privacy series, we'll talk about things that you can do to make your current car more private, like disabling the Wi-Fi and SIM, and understanding the privacy trade-offs of the remote services that you're signing up for. We'll also talk about what to do at a dealership if you're buying a new car, and you will be shocked at what some dealerships do to hide this data collection from potential customers. The world of car privacy is super complicated, and we're only just starting to understand how much of our car activity is being shared and into whose hands our data ends up. It's vast, invasive, and scary, but awareness is key. Once we start to understand what's being done with our data and how it affects us, we can make better choices. And even more importantly, now that we're starting to get a glimpse of what's going on, we can also push back against it. NBTV is funded by community donations, which means people like you who are watching it right now. If you found this video useful or interesting and would like to help us make more free educational content, consider visiting nbtv.media/support. And if you're just starting out, take a look at our Beginner's Introduction to Privacy book, which also supports our channel. Thank you so much for being here and for liking, sharing, and subscribing to our content. It really does help us spread the message that privacy matters. So here's the thing, data harvesting is really opaque right now, and not many people are willing to talk about it. And I know that there are all kinds of people who watch this channel. There are absolute beginners, and there are also experts in their field. Now, if you happen to work in the automotive industry and have some sort of insider perspective into data collection practices, I would love to hear from you. Reach out.